The average American has gained nearly 30 pounds since the food pyramid was introduced in the late 1970s. This isn't coincidence, it's consequence. What if everything you've been taught about healthy eating was actually making you sick? Today, we're examining how a food pyramid became one of the most successful marketing campaigns in history. Their implementation in 1992 wasn't just a shift in dietary recommendations, it represented a fundamental change in how Americans ate, shopped, and thought about nutrition. The consequences still proving devastating. Welcome to the Black Sheep channel. They lied to you, and it's time to wake up. The origins. How profit shaped our plates. Most people assume the food pyramid was created by top scientists after years of research. Wrong. The origins of the food pyramid trace back to the 1970s, and what began as a science-based initiative quickly transformed under commercial and political pressure. The food pyramid was actually developed by the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA. Now, that might not seem immediately problematic until you consider the USDA's conflicting responsibilities. On one hand, they're tasked with providing nutritional guidance to the American public. On the other, they're charged with promoting agricultural products. This fundamental conflict of interest set the stage for a nutritional framework that would prioritize commercial interests over public health. The food pyramid wasn't designed to optimize human health. It was engineered to solve 5 key business problems facing the food industry at 70s. First, satisfy the excess grain production accumulated since World War II. Second, promote mass production, allowing food companies to scale operations efficiently. Third, emphasize affordability, focusing on foods with high profit margins. Fourth, prioritize storage stability, which benefited processed food manufacturers. And fifth, focus on palatability. Foods engineered to keep consumers coming back for more. The food pyramid was designed to push certain food industries to sell more products. Perhaps most alarming is how scientific evidence was selectively ignored during the pyramid's development. Early research warning against high carbohydrate consumption, studies that suggested links to metabolic problems and potential weight gain were pushed aside. These inconvenient scientific findings contradicted the commercial narrative being constructed around grains and other carbohydrate-heavy foods. At the same time, many companies and associations of grain producers financed scientific studies and advertising campaigns to position cereals as the basis of a healthy diet. The Great Fat Deception. The clear losers of the new nutritional pyramid were fats. They went from being one of the nutritional pillars to the recommendation to limit their consumption, placing them at the top of the pyramid to be consumed in moderation. This created the false idea that all fats were equally dangerous to health. While we were taught to fear all fats equally, scientific research tells a completely different story. The food pyramid's failure to distinguish between beneficial and harmful fats may be one of the most consequential scientific blunders of modern nutrition. When fat is removed from the diet, those calories must be replaced, typically with carbohydrates from the pyramid's very foundation. The human appetite regulation system relies heavily on dietary fat. Fat slows digestion, promotes satiety, and prevents blood sugar spikes associated with high carbohydrate meals. By removing this crucial nutrient, the pyramid inadvertently created a nation of people who were perpetually hungry. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition highlight a troubling fact. High glycemic index diets, exactly the kind promoted by the pyramid's grain-heavy base, negatively impact insulin sensitivity and body weight regulation, creating perfect conditions for weight gain and metabolic dysfunction. The pyramid's approach to fat created a nutritional environment where Americans were encouraged to fear eggs, nuts, avocados, and olive oil, foods now recognized for their health benefits. The grains and carbs problem. Each time you consume a meal heavy in refined carbohydrates, your pancreas must produce substantial amounts of insulin. With repeated exposure, cells gradually become less responsive to insulin signals, a condition known as insulin resistance. This metabolic disruption doesn't just affect weight. It fundamentally alters how your body processes and stores energy. The pyramid's approach to protein compounds these issues. Protein plays a crucial role in maintaining muscle mass, which directly impacts metabolic rate. More importantly, protein creates a sensation of fullness that carbohydrates simply cannot match. Without adequate protein, Americans found themselves eating more total calories while feeling less satisfied. A recipe for weight gain on a national scale. Pyramid's impact, the obesity epidemic. The consequences of this distortion of nutritional science extend far beyond theoretical debates. They're measurable in pounds and inches across an entire population. Before the pyramid's debut in the late 1970s, obesity impacted approximately 15% of Americans. Fast forward to today, and that figure has nearly tripled to over 42%. This dramatic shift closely tracks the timeline of Americans dutifully following official guidance to reduce fat consumption while embracing carbohydrates as the foundation of their diet. The average American has gained nearly 30 pounds since the pyramid's introduction. The medical community has observed these changes in real time, noting that the introduction of the food pyramid coincided with alarming increases not just in obesity rates, but also in related conditions with type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and abnormal cholesterol levels. This isn't just speculation. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have consistently demonstrated the link between high-carbohydrate diets, particularly those emphasizing refined grains, and weight gain and metabolic dysfunction. What makes this particularly troubling is that these weren't unforeseen consequences. Scientific knowledge about carbohydrates existed when the pyramid was constructed. However, these metabolic realities were subordinated to other commercial and political priorities. The evidence is compelling, as Americans have followed the recommendations of the food pyramid, reducing fat, increasing carbohydrates, and limiting protein. Their health has measurably and predictably deteriorated. What should you eat instead? Forget the outdated food pyramid. Here's what real science-backed nutrition looks like. Prioritize protein: meat, fish, eggs, legumes. Protein keeps you full, builds muscle, and stabilizes blood sugar. Healthy fats are your friend: avocados, nuts, olive oil, fatty fish. Reduce refined carbs. Swap bread, pasta, and sugar for whole foods like vegetables and fiber-rich carbs. Eat whole, nutrient-dense foods. Less processed, more natural. We're forced to conclude that the food pyramid wasn't merely incorrect. It represented a profound misunderstanding of human nutrition that sacrificed public health for commercial gains. Clinical evidence increasingly demonstrates that diets lower in carbohydrates and higher in protein and healthy fats produce superior health outcomes compared to the pyramid's recommendations, precisely because they align with how our bodies actually function. Stop following outdated food myths. The food pyramid was built for corporations, not your health. If you want to learn more about today's topic, you must read The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Teicholz. This book exposes how the food industry, governments, and misinterpreted science have led millions of people to follow diets that actually damage their health. Check the link in the description and first comment to get your copy. Here in Black Sheep Channel, all opinions are welcomed. Leave yours in the comments. And if you want to learn to develop a critical mind on issues of nutrition, finance, technology, and society, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Remember, they lied to you. And it's time to wake up. Don't miss the next video.